So you've put for Childe, put all of your love into building everything you can into him, getting his best weapons, best artifact, put for constellations, triple crowned him. You even already tried every single best meta team that Childe even have, like Childe International, Childe Taser, Freeze, Hyper Bloom, Mergian, you named it. And you may be already thinking that you have experienced everything there is to Childe's gameplay. But guys, let me tell you that there is a possibility that you have not, because even I, who have been playing Childe for a long time, was quite surprised that I actually missed out a very fun team for Childe just up until a few days ago when I discovered it. Now, before we hop into discussing about the teams, first off, I just want to say that this is not a team that I discovered by myself. It's a team that I came across when I was scrolling around in the Genshin Impact community. Plus, even though this team might not be considered as meta, it is a team that is very fun to play, and also it will be able to do you and clear you very decent damage, and in some cases have been able to help clear the abyss. So yes, it is a very viable team. But also, since most of us have already experienced many or most of the Childe's team available out there, I'd say why not be open to some of a different teams that can be used along with Childe to enhance your gameplay experience, especially if you are someone who really loves Childe, right? And so the team we're talking about is going to be featuring Childe, Raiden, Nahida, and Zhongli. Now you may be thinking that this is a very expensive team to work along with, and yes, it is pretty expensive considering there are 4 characters that are 5-star. But while the 3 other teams member of Childe are technically Archons, and while most of us have already know that Archons are really good characters for you to be having on your account, so hopefully that most of us have already got these characters as well. But of course there will be teams variations that are more geared toward free to play, and we'll be discussing that in a bit. However guys, as you have seen from the video title, the aim of these kinds of teams is that it will help you clear content without you doing much of an action or almost no action at all after the first setting of the first rotation of the team. So yes, sometimes this is what's called an AFK team in the game, in which we're utilizing all of these self-auto triggering mechanics that each of the character have to deal reaction damage together so that we can take out the enemies. So with that in mind, how this team will work specifically is that first off, we have Raiden to set up her E skill, where it has a very long uptime, plus it will automatically deal electro damage whenever the enemy's target is hit. So that would definitely help you deal a bit of damage plus electro application. Nahida, of course, her infamously good E skill would be applying everything on the field with her Seed of Skandha, not to mention connecting all of these enemies together, so that the ability to hit multiple enemies at the same time is very good too. And yes, of course, Zhongli here for the shield to protect you, but also his pillars does off-field damage too, so that both Nahida and Raiden can be triggered. So that leaves Childe, and what he does is that Childe is also the most important part of the team here too, where it comes into his Riptide. So how his Riptide work is that whenever enemies affected by Riptide is defeated, they will create a Hydro explosion and also applied Riptide onto any of the enemies that is hit during that too. So that is where the Hydro application potential comes in, connecting all of the dots to help this team work properly. So by setting up like that, you will be able to potentially just leave your character there on the field, do nothing, and they will automatically clear out the enemies on the field. However, there's a caveat to this team, of course, is that in order for this team to work best, you would require to have a C4 Childe. The reason why it is a C4 Childe is because C4 let you have additional Hydro application triggering. That's where it gives him the ability to trigger additional Riptide in periodically intervals, so that now Riptide will still be able to trigger and deal AoE explosion without needing to have the enemies being killed first. Therefore, there will be even more Hydro being applied during this process, making it very easier for you to run this team. But of course, most of us won't be having a C4 Childe, and yes, C0 Childe will still be able to work. However, this team will work best when you are in a group enemy situation, because then the enemies are usually weaker and easier to clear out. So it's more easier for you to take them out on the field and then triggering the Riptide status on them, dealing AoE Hydro damage, which is where of course it is quite harder for you to do when you're up against larger bosses enemies. With then you will have to go into Childe's E skill normally and do a bit more Hydro attack so that he can apply Hydro and then triggering your other off-field party members to do the work too. So as before, we also have a team variation of a more free-to-play kind of team, and that's going to be you running along with Dendro MC, Kuki Shinobu, and Kazuha. Of course, Kazuha is a 5-star character, so it's not entirely free to play, but we already know that Kazuha is technically the best support buffer character in the game right now, so it's really beneficial if you do try and get him on your account. And yes, this team will be able to work a bit similar to that as well. And of course, we also have Kazuha here to help you out the team with Swirling Hydro, therefore helping more with Hydro application in the process, which is really good too. Dendro MC, of course, with her burst a lot of Dendro application, and Kuki Shinobu for healing, the best character to be triggering Hyper Bloom in this case, which is pretty decent too. Now the thing with this team is that since Kuki's E skill AoE range is quite limited, therefore you will have to move Childe next to the enemies quite a bit, but other than that, it's also a pretty fun team to play. So guys, I'd say that was a pretty fun team. I found out that I had some time to play along with Childe. I did enjoy this team quite a lot that I wanted to make a whole video sharing all of this with you, and hopefully you have found the video quite enjoyable and may potentially have helped you to have an additional team to play along with Childe. Now guys, if you are someone who have just pulled for Childe, or if you're wondering how good is Childe in the current meta, then I have a very in-depth video going through that discuss in more details of everything about Childe, so be sure to check out the video right here, as I'm sure it will be very helpful to you. If you are new to the channel guys, don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on my future Genshin Impact video. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me till this part of the video, and with that I wish you a super day and I will catch you on my next video.